Imagine you have a friend. Well, less a friend, more an acquaintance. Actually, not an acquaintance, a person that your friendship group kind of tolerates. They're loud and demanding, desperate to be the centre of attention. They're opinionated too. Anything and everything has to go just as they want it. They are the living embodiment of my way or the highway. When you're talking about plans for the evening, they will hold sway. They'll choose where you go, what you do, when the evening starts, and when and where it ends. They have no real superiority over you, and yet somehow everyone ends up doing their bidding. You split the bill at the end of the evening. They quibble, they have forgotten their wallet, they say they'll pay you later, and they don't. In fact, they only cough up when you have reminded them several times. And here's the worst thing. They tell you constantly how much they like you, how much they appreciate you, how much they value you. And yet they'll regularly let you down to hang out with their other friends. And when they're with those other friends, they'll talk about you behind your back, point out your shortcomings. They'll do things with them that they never did with you. But when those other friends let them down, oh, they'll call you up as if nothing has happened. I think we can all agree that this would be a pretty shitty friend, that our patience would wear thin pretty quickly, and that sooner or later we'd drop them like a hot brick. You've probably sensed where I'm going with this, that I'm not actually talking about a friend. I'm talking about our relationships with others in the demolition and construction industry. Specifically, I'm talking about the duplicity of clients, developers, and tier one contractors who tell you how much they value you, but who will abandon you in an instant if a seemingly better offer comes along. So, what about this? Tier one contractor signs off on a program, a solemn promise written in ink, or at least in a PDF, and then unilaterally decides that your specialist package, which requires 6 weeks of lead time and 4 weeks on site, must now be completed in half the time. No discussion, no consideration of cost, and certainly no word of apology. Just a curt email announcing the revised schedule. They don't ask if it's possible, they just tell you it's happening. And if you dare suggest that physics, logistics, or even basic decency might make this impossible, you're labelled uncooperative, or even more cuttingly, not a team player or not a partner. Because, of course, that's the preferred terminology now, isn't it? Partnering. It's a word that sounds collaborative, intimate, and mutually supportive. When the client uses it, it feels like they're offering you a seat at the adults' table. Yet their definition of partnering is uniquely skewed. It means, quite simply, you will do exactly what I say, absorb all the risk I can't be bothered to manage, and then you will smile and thank me for the privilege of having been soundly rogered. Let's return to the bill splitting part of the story, which in our industry analogy quickly moves from quibbling over a tenner to something far bigger and far more sinister. The client says they value you, right? They say you're essential to the team, the backbone of their success. So you deliver the job, you put in the hours, you meet the revised and entirely ridiculous deadline, and you manage the inevitable changes they demanded halfway through. You've delivered the service, tangible item, the thing they need to move their enormous project forward. You send the invoice, and then nothing. You wait. You send a gentle reminder. You wait some more, and you send a slightly firmer but still terribly polite email. You are now the friend constantly chasing that forgotten fiver, only now it's tens of thousands of pounds, and your solvency and the survival of your company depends on getting that money back. The standard payment terms, 30 days, 60 days, sometimes even longer, which are a disgrace in themselves, are seen as the client as optional suggestions. In fact, they are often the starting point for a protracted saga of spurious queries, demands for additional, entirely unnecessary paperwork, and then the general chilling silence of someone who simply doesn't care about the consequences of their financial negligence. They treat your money as their personal, interest free, and unacknowledged loan. And yet the irony is delicious, isn't it? If you fail to meet a deadline, the client is instantaneous and ruthless with penalties, liquidated damages, and contractual threats. But when they breach the most fundamental part of the agreement, paying for services rendered, It's just an administrative delay. This brings us, I guess, to the ultimate act of betrayal, the moment the mask of partnering drops entirely, revealing the cold, hard face of pure transactional greed. Remember when the client would regularly let you down to hang out with those other friends? In the construction world, those other friends are the competition. You are quite literally one bad mood or one cheaper price away from being dropped like a hot brick. You might have worked exclusively with that client for years. You've been their trusted supplier, the one who stepped up when their previous partner went bust. You've consistently delivered quality, you understand their systems, and you've shown the loyalty of a faithful Labrador. But then the client gets a sniff, a whisper from a new supplier offering the same service for a little bit less. Does that client factor in your reliable service, your deep understanding of their site rules, the relationship capital you've built? Do they bollocks? The tier one contractor, upon hearing a cheaper price, instantaneously forgets the shared values and the lovely photos they took of you at their annual supply chain awards, an event at which you were forced to pay for a table, obviously. They abandon you without a second thought, trading proven, reliable service for a short term, minimal saving. The conversation, if you're lucky enough to get one, sounds something like, "It's a purely commercial decision, old chap, nothing personal. It's just that Company X were cheaper. We have to look at the bottom line, don't you know?" What they actually mean is, we demand unquestioning loyalty, fealty, and the highest standards from you, but we're unwilling to show even the slightest modicum of commitment in return. You are entirely disposable. So let's circle back to the shitty friend. In our personal lives, we'd cut them off. We'd stop answering their calls. Yet in our industry, we've accepted this tyranny as the status quo. We queue up, cap in hand, to be abused repeatedly by the very clients and contractors who wax lyrical about stakeholder engagement and collaborative procurement. We accept the payment delays, the arbitrary program changes, and the instant dismissal because, frankly, the fear of losing the next job is greater than the collective outrage over the injustice of the current one. This isn't partnering. This is a poisonous relationship dynamic. It's an abusive cycle where the supplier constantly seeks approval from a client who is pathologically incapable of offering genuine commitment. The only way to genuinely change the construction industry now is to find the courage, individually and collectively, to drop that shitty friend like a hot brick. To demand that if they want fealty, they need to meet us halfway with fairness. To insist that if they want loyalty, they must first demonstrate a shred of lasting commitment. Because until we do, the charade of partnering will continue, and we will continue to be treated like dirt, forever waiting for that forgotten fiver.